So we're joined by Albion Rovers director Ben Kearney. First off, Ben, how are you?
Yeah, really good, Callum. Enjoying the summer. Not that it's much of a summer weather today, but recently the weather's been quite nice actually. So yeah, enjoying the break as much as you can. But as always, it doesn't feel really like a break. It's been full on as always. Busy in the background, kind of getting things prepared for the upcoming season.
So obviously you just mentioned about stuff going on since the back end of the season. Can you just give us a bit of an update on what's going on behind the scenes?
Yeah, okay, as always at any football club, it's been extremely busy. The board of directors and the volunteers associated with the club have been hard at work as always. There's too many names you could thank for the work that's went in over the past couple of months since the season obviously ended. It is amazing the Lowland League, the season ends so early that you are left with a pretty long time in the kind of off season. There's so many things to mention. Your kind of usual end of season work that always goes in terms of getting prepared for the next season. Obviously the volunteering days have started up again as well, which is brilliant, and we thank everybody that's came along today, and that's a big help to get the stadium kind of tip top for the new season. Obviously it's been pretty quiet recently, but I suppose for fans it's just to reassure them that there is a lot of work going on behind the scenes as always. It's just kind of getting things in place and waiting on maybe one or two things to come down the line. But certainly we've been hard at work. There's so many things you can mention. Probably the first thing to mention, I know a lot of people have been really interested in the project board, which has obviously been brilliant. That's got myself sitting on that, along with members from the board of directors, the supporters trust and the community trust, and the work behind the scenes on that has been fantastic. The effort that's went into getting us to the point where we are just now, and we're kind of a wee bit further down now in terms of planning for what we'd hope to be the kind of project. Obviously I think everyone probably knows by now the board of directors goals at least, and obviously the project board as well. I think everyone at the club agrees that the route forward is to try and become Coatbridge's community club and really own that, and try and get a facility in place at Clifton Hill that allows us to have kind of all-weather football, that kind of 3G surface that allows you to get younger people playing in the pitch when it's not in use. At the moment, having a grass pitch in this day and age, it's just difficult for a football club to run on that operating model. So we're still engaged with the Scottish FA at the moment and other partners to see how we can move forward. There's lots of different streams. I think it's pretty clear we're going to take a phased approach with that. There's lots of different avenues and things that we need to kind of tick off along the way, and it is going to be a journey rather than something quick. I think at the start a lot of people maybe thought it was going to be a case of we would just turn around one day and we would have a pitch, but obviously there's a lot of work that goes into that behind the scenes. And I've also got to thank as well, we've had a lot of help for our kind of local representatives. You think our local MP, our local MSP, we've had list MSPs as well. We've had so much support from the wider community, which has been excellent as well. So that's just one of the things. Obviously going on to things that have happened over the season, there's so many people to thank. First of all, the Rovers return has been immense. The amount of money that the club has managed to raise is fantastic. It has certainly exceeded my expectations. I think people have really bought into the idea and the kind of ethos of it, and so far we've managed to run it really well, I would say. I think there's not been too many complaints, which is great. It's been a bit of an undertaking in terms of the stuff behind the scenes to do. I've got to thank as well the people that were on a wee committee at the start that helped get the Rovers return up and running. It's been a massive help to the club, and it's certainly kind of stabilised us financially from where we were in a difficult situation a few months ago, which I think that the club is very honest about. And a lot of people have mentioned maybe we were too honest. Actually, I think for this board of directors we will always be honest about the situation that we're in, and that's the approach we'd like to take, is to be honest and not hide anything from supporters. We will always be upfront and frank about the club's situation, where we are and where we think we can take the club. But the Rovers return has been fantastic. Obviously as well, we had the GoFundMe page as well, which was brilliant. They've got to thank the Holy family especially for the work that they put into that. The money that was raised was excellent, and some of the initiatives, stuff with John Gemmell, stuff like that was fantastic as well. I think the supporters really appreciated that, and obviously the same thing again, that the money's went to good use. At this time obviously I'd like to just thank the kind of usual people you'd like to thank. Everybody probably knows they're about to be thanked, but your supporters trust, your community trust, I think the relationship we've got with them at the moment is excellent. I know maybe previously the relationship with the trust hasn't always been quite where it should be with the board of directors, but I think they're in a very good place now, and we've got a great working relationship. Obviously our sponsors as well, there's too many people to thank, but the main club sponsors have been fantastic to have. Just about everyone we knew. We're saying goodbye to the Shimla Cottage, and we wish them well. They've been a fantastic sponsor of the club over the past few years, and Navi and the team there have been great, and we wish them all the well in the future. But out with that, we've managed to retain our main sponsors, which is fantastic. Obviously Ripple and Viro are probably the main guys to mention. They've once again been a kind of significant partner with the club, and the amount of support they've given us is fantastic. which is great. And obviously as well, just touching on things that have been going on behind the scenes, stuff like the new kit. I know that's been a thing that fans have mentioned for a few years, certainly when I joined the board of directors. One thing that killed me was the fact that our kits took so long to get here and you were kind of scrambling about waiting, whereas this time around I think we've done that really well. We've managed to get pre-orders in place. The kit's going to be here well before the season starts, which is something a bit new for Albion Rovers, which sounds quite funny. You think that would be a kind of normal of a football club, but certainly it's something that we haven't done well enough over the past few years, but that's something we've managed to rectify, and I think the supporters will love the bespoke home kit as well. I think that'll be a real nice surprise for people when they see it. It's cracking. Luckily I'm one of the only people that's seen it. I can see Callum across me, he's not even seen it yet, one of our media team. I don't think he's too happy about that. But yeah, the amount of stuff that's happened so far over the season since it's ended there's been so much, to be honest. Sometimes maybe when you're looking from the outside in, it looks like not a lot's happening, but I can assure fans that behind the scenes there's been countless hours have been put in to get the club ready for the upcoming campaign.
Obviously the ones the fans will be most excited to hear about is, can we get a bit of an update on the football department going into next season? Yeah,
first of all, we're delighted that we've managed to get Sandy Clark and George Patterson back on board for the new campaign. I think that's massive for the football club as a whole, and obviously the football department side of things. The efforts that the guys have put in since they joined the club has been immense, really. Obviously as well, it helps that they're two fantastic people, great to work with. They've clearly got the football club at heart. The amount they've put into the job has been over and above. I think sometimes you forget that these guys have also got lives outside football, but the effort and time and passion they've put into the football club has been incredible, and even kind of a gesture of their goodwill. I mean, both guys won't mind me saying that they've took a reduction in their remuneration as well, which is I think that just shows a lot that how committed they are to the club, and I think that's got to be recognised and then thank them for it. So yes, Sandy and George are on board for next season. They've been working away in the background just as they have been previous summers.
Obviously, how pleased are you as the board of directors to have Sandy and George signed on for next season?
As I mentioned, it's genuinely massive. They've been instrumental. Even you think of last season, how well we did towards the end of the season. I think that speaks volumes of not just them as coaches, but as people. Obviously the playing staff as well have to take massive credit for how we ended the season. I think to have so much uncertainty placed upon you as football players and coaching staff and a football department, so much was going on in the club, so much was being said from outside, and within as well. I think it was a difficult situation for the football club. There was a lot to discuss, and the way that the whole football department handled themselves is exemplary, really, and I think you obviously got to give a lot of credit to Sandy and George for that. Obviously people have already seen we've had a lot of players that have already moved on to pastures now, and we wish them well. I think it's very clear that going into next season, as I'm going to go into, the playing budget we're going to have is going to be severely restricted compared to last season, and unfortunately that's just the reality of being a team that's dropped out of the SPFL into the lone league that is a basically unfunded league. We're working really hard to change the club's operating model, but that is something that takes time, unfortunately, and just the way it's landed this season, as a board we've took a decision which we feel is right for the football club's future, which is to have a severely restricted budget, and that's something that Sandy and George are obviously on board with. I think if you ask Sandy, I think he'd like a blank chequebook, but the great thing about him is he's very happy to work with what we can give him, and I think it actually helps as well, the fact that they are so experienced. When you have a severely restricted budget, what you need is people that know the game inside out, people that have contacts, people that even things like the new cooperation system, for example, which is coming in from next season from the Scottish FA, where you've got your kind of bigger clubs in the Premiership and Championship are going to be looking for teams to partner up with. It helps when you've got a face like Sandy Clark, someone who's got so much knowledge, experience in the game, and somewhere where young players are going to go and get a game and become better players, and we've got a track record of proving that, which is fantastic. So yeah, I'm delighted to have them on board, and just to say, I'd like to thank as well all of the players that have departed as well. You think of guys like Michael Payton, who's obviously been brilliant with us. He's kind of went on a coaching journey as well, which has been fantastic, and I think the fact that he's managed to get the assistant manager's job at Kelly Hearts is brilliant. You think of guys like Kai Kirkpatrick as well, who's obviously moved on to SPFL football, and we wish all of the guys the best, the efforts that they put in over the end of the season, and I think all the supporters would agree that there wasn't anybody that it's so easy in football to have down tools in the situation that we were in, and not a single player done it. In fact, if anything, the guys kind of rallied round even more, and I think you've seen that in the performances as well. So a big thank you to them. But yeah, I think the board are certainly delighted to have Sandy and George on board, and I'm sure the supporters will be as well.
What can the supporters kind of expect over the next 12 months or so?
Yeah, it is going to be a difficult season. I don't think there's any point denying that. I think it's better to be upfront and honest about it. I mentioned the kind of word severely restricted budget. I mean, I think it goes without saying, without being privy to the other budgets of teams in the lower league, I'd imagine we'll be right at the bottom of the pile. To be honest, I think that's just the truth of the matter. It will be a difficult season. I think we've got a great management team in place. I think they'll be able to recruit players that we probably shouldn't be able to get. Just because of the fact that they're such great coaches and they have such a great reputation, that's going to allow us to bring in players of a certain quality. But obviously it is disappointing when you have such a great season last season, you end it well, you think you're going in, and I think that's the thing. I think there is an honesty that we were going in a direction where you felt we could really do something, but unfortunately just financially the situation the club's in, it wouldn't be viable to even keep anywhere near the kind of budget that we had for last season. And I think as well, we look back, you look at the AGM for example, which supporters would have been at the last AGM, it was made very clear part of the going concern of the football club was that we continued to cut costs, and unfortunately the footballing department and the wage budget is the one area that you can cut significantly. I think the board of directors, we'd like to be clear, once again, our goal is to make sure Albion survives. That's the number one priority for us. I think it would be that there's lots of reasons that you could, there's lots of arguments for and against of why you could maybe have a go this season for example, and maybe spend money that you don't have and try and recoup that because you do well in cup competitions or you try and get back up to the SPFL. But I think there's got to be an honesty that once again the lower league, you look at Bonnyrigg coming down, they're a really well supported club who have got great experience in the lower league. You look at Clydebank coming up, another team that have got fantastic support, financial backing, they've got an experienced squad already of players, and you think of the teams already in the lower league at the moment, it's going to be a very difficult league, and to try and challenge for promotion I think would be difficult, and certainly you'd be much safer to take the option that we've taken. Obviously I think one thing to mention as well is that the lower league AGM took place on Monday, and one thing that came out of that was just a kind of reaffirmation that the reconstruction package that's been kind of mooted is definitely going ahead. So you're talking not this season but the start of next season there will be a reconstruction to have a lower league east and west. At this time we're preparing for that. Basically I think the truth is that the following season is going to be very difficult when you think of the teams that are going to come up from example the West of Scotland leagues. I mean it's going to be a very difficult lower league west, and I think the board as well have took that into consideration in terms of this season. Also another thing to note is that there's actually going to be no relegation from this season. It's going to be kind of classed as a holding season in the lower league, which is something that we did consider as well. And I think for the board of directors what we see the kind of season ahead is to try and stabilise the club, make sure that we're in a position where we are financially stable, and that would allow us to then be able to give a better budget for the following season, which we believe is going to be a much tougher league, and to us that makes a lot more sense. As much as it's not nice to have kind of short term, medium term aim, I think actually when you look at the bigger picture it makes sense to us as a board, and we're very comfortable with that decision.
Obviously kind of to end, a few wee words for the supporters.
Yeah, I think listen, the supporters have been fantastic. I think it's easy to say this, every club will say they've got supporters like no other club. I think we really do have that at Albion Rovers. The spirit, the kind of community ethos that we've got, it is incredible, and it's the same faces that you see most weekends. The amount of people that volunteer at the club in one way or another, the amount of people that their livelihood is based around Albion Rovers, I think that is something really special. And I've kind of mentioned at the start of the interview the amount of people you could thank. There's too many names, but the supporters have been fantastic. The support they've shown throughout the previous season when things were difficult was incredible, and this season is going to be difficult. I think there's no other way to describe that, but the one thing that we'll still have is an Albion Rovers team on the pitch, and we'll have people working really hard behind the scenes to make Albion Rovers as best as we can be. I think the thing that comforts me certainly is the fact that the football club has a plan now. I think for a long time the football club's probably been guilty of not having a kind of, this is where we want to be in the future, but we have a plan. We want to be Coatbridge's community club. We want to have a facility that can be used by thousands of kids every week. We want to go to an operating model that's sustainable and allows us to be a sustainable lower league club, and I think that there is an excitement in that, but it's going to take a lot of work to get there.